Hi, Dr. Dolly. I'm a longtime listener and a first-time caller. I'm a subspecialty surgeon now looking for my first full-time job after nearly a decade in training. I have for a long time anticipated entering academics. However, because of the pandemic, the employment landscape in my field has changed somewhat, and I found myself looking at both community practice, employed positions, as well as private practice opportunities. One such opportunity is a strictly private practice group of approximately 60 physicians, including 15 to 20 surgeons, which I would be joining as the only provider in my subspecialty. They're an established group that has been steadily growing in market share over the past few decades, and they offer both guaranteed salary support for the first few years, as well as a full benefits package and attractive partnership. Nonetheless, I feel a strong need to, quote unquote, kick the tires on this business in order to understand what risk I'm taking on and what my opportunity is to really grow a full practice with this group. My two questions are as follows. One, what business and productivity details can and should I be asking for in order to vet the company's financial health? And as a potential future partner, am I entitled to review their billing history or even asked to see their business records? And two, should I be considering hiring a consultant to research the practice and its financials? And if so, where do I find such an expert? Thanks so much for your help.
Okay, this is a doc being hired as an employee with the possibility of partnership down the road. Well, this is really hard interview to have as the employee, right? Because not only do you have to ask all the regular employee questions, but you got to ask the questions of being a partner. And so you have to be a little bit careful doing that, because they don't want to give an employee that they don't know anything about and barely know all the intimate details of their partnership and their finances. Are they going to let you review the books? Probably not when you're applying as an employee. Will they tell you something about how the business is doing? Probably. Should you hire an expert to comb through their books? They're probably not going to let an expert comb through their books when you're basically interviewing to become an employee with the group. So I think the approach I'd take is I'd ask more general questions now, and leave the really detailed deep dive to the time you're offered partnership, if you don't already have the info you need by that point. Now, the way it tends to work in our partnership is once we kind of know you're probably going to make partner, which takes 6 months before we know somebody's good and that we're going to want to be with them long term. And then we start talking about the finances with them. So by the time they come to the partnership step at 2 years, they know all about it. They've been shown the monthly spreadsheets, what we're making, what we're being paid, all the books, et cetera, and they're pretty intimate with it. And so this issue really never comes up in my partnership. But if you're in a partnership where they don't talk about that sort of stuff with the pre-partners who are on track to make partner, then I can see why that would cause a lot of angst. Obviously, if you start finding out those things in your pre-partnership track and you're really not interested, well, it gives you some time to start changing jobs. But I wouldn't expect anybody interviewing you for a partnership track job, an employee job, to really give you totally open access to the books. You can ask, but I think they probably wouldn't. And I'd stick to just trying to get more general information about how the partnership works. And really, honestly, focusing on the people. The people are what make a partnership. It's a lot like a marriage. You're going to be with them for 20 or 30 years. So if these are people that screw other people over, you don't want to be in business with them for 30 years. And that's made all the difference in my partnership for sure, is to be in there with good people, because good people attract good people, and they treat each other fairly and treat each other well, and make decisions in the best interest of everybody in the group. So try to find yourself a group like that. But do ask them if there's any consideration to sell the company to a private equity group. There's a lot of that going on. If they're having those discussions, you ought to know about that when you take the job. And you can ask them, what should I expect to make as a partner in this group in my field? Ballpark figures are obviously fine, but you can ask ballpark figures, what are other subspecialty surgeon partners making? And give you some idea so you can plan your finances, and so you can, know if it's comparable to what you might make working for some contract management group or something like that. You should also ask them, what factors will determine whether I make partner or not? And ask specifically, whose decision is it if I make partner? Because you want to know the whole time who's really making that decision, because that's the person you have to impress and you have to please. If you want your questions answered by the White Coat Investor, record your question at whitecoatinvestor.com/YQA or click the link in the description.